The former superintendent of West Bonner County Schools sues the district for hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost pay and benefits.
We're waking up to a round of fog tomorrow morning, then trying to see sun in the afternoon, and that pattern holds through the end of the week.
The House of Representatives and the Senate today voted to release the Epstein files. We hear from local officials and detail what's next in the process. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Breaking news tonight, an Amber Alert has been issued for two girls who police say were abducted in Western Washington and could be headed to the Spokane area. The girls were last seen in Montesano. They are 8-year-old Audrey Gleave and 12-year-old Vanessa Gleave. It's believed they're with Carolyn Gleave, who may be headed to Deer Park. She may also be headed toward Arizona, Utah, or California. It is believed they are traveling in a 2014 black Subaru Forester with license plate AZB 4600. If you see them, you are urged to call 911. All right, let's talk weather now on this Tuesday with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo standing by in the Outdoor Weather Center. Jeremy, we haven't seen really cold temperatures so far in the Northwest yet, but that could soon be changing, right?
Yeah, I think so. But hey, it's supposed to happen this time of year. 41 degrees right now is closer to our high temperature on average this time of year than we have been in some time. But by next week, there is a decent potential that we cool down quite substantially. It looks like a bulk of that cold winds up in the high plains. Think Montana or the Dakotas. We just wind up on the western edge of it. Still, a potential to cool down nonetheless. For now, it's a few scattered showers exiting the region and a ridge of high pressure building in. What that means for us is over the course of the next couple of days, we'll wind up seeing a little morning fog, maybe some sun in the afternoon, and nothing else. That's just it. Mid-40s every day, which still puts us slightly above those seasonal norms, and overnight lows down near freezing each and every morning. Mark?
Good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you a bit later in the show tonight. The former superintendent of West Bonner County Schools is suing the district for hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost pay and benefits. You might remember this story because the state of Idaho said that Brendan Durst wasn't legally allowed to even hold that job. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy is in the newsroom tonight to explain.
Brandon Durst served only 4 months. Now he's arguing the district fired him without cause and owes him more than $400,000. Durst's lawsuit, filed in February 2024, says the district breached his contracts.
All those in favor say aye.
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 When the school board voted to accept his resignation in October 2023, but Durst now argues he didn't quit. In his lawsuit, he claims the school board terminated him without cause and intentionally misrepresented a letter he sent as a resignation. I believe it's necessary for me to step aside, the September 25th letter says. He says he's now owed $402,000 in lost wages and benefits and plans to have an accountant testify to it in court. It was a decision embattled from the beginning.
Is not currently qualified or able to fulfill all the duties of a public school superintendent. Even
West Bonner County School District's board hired Durst to serve as superintendent back in June 2023. His 6-figure contract was dependent on an emergency certification from the state. In September 2023, the State Board of Education denied the certification, claiming it legally couldn't grant one for an administrator. KREM 2 News was unable to speak with attorneys for Durst or the district, but the district's lawyers have responded in court records saying Durst's letter clearly communicated he was resigning, calling it a goodbye letter. They argue even if he did not quit, Durst's contract was void because he was denied state certification required for the job. A jury trial is scheduled for January. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Happening now, Spokane leaders are asking the community for feedback. The goal is for city planners to use that feedback in their comprehensive plan, which will be a roadmap for the next 20 years of development. The workshop goes from 5 tonight till 6:30 at Salk Middle School. If you can't make it tonight, there is one more workshop later this month. The U.S. House voted 427-1 to release the Epstein files today. It now heads to the U.S. Senate, where they already agreed to pass it by unanimous consent. The one dissenting House vote came from Louisiana Representative Clay Higgins. Kentucky Republican Representative Thomas Massey, who introduced the discharge petition, along with California Democratic Representative Ro Khanna, believes that once it gets passed into law, the DOJ and FBI have to legally release the files.
they are criminally liable at the DOJ and FBI if they don't release these files. This is a law.
This decision has definitely been one the country has been talking about for months now, with tonight's decision being mostly unanimous with bipartisan support. Local leaders are now speaking out about why they voted to release the files. KREM 2's Christian Garza has been monitoring our local representatives' reactions to that vote and brings us the latest tonight. Christian?
Around 65,000 pages of recorded relatings to Jeffrey Epstein's have already been released, but now, since the Senate agreed by unanimous consent to pass the bill, when it is sent over by the House, the bill is officially signed by the president. It would make all unclassified records and documents relating to Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, public, with the only no vote coming out of Louisiana. Local representatives like Congressman Michael Baumgartner and Dan Newhouse voted in favor of releasing those files. Out the reasoning behind his vote, saying in part, "Today I voted to release the Epstein files because, as I have long said, the evil and predatory network surrounding Jeffrey Epstein must be fully exposed. The American people deserve the truth, and every victim of sexual assault deserves justice. That pursuit of justice begins with transparency and accountability," end quote. Representative Dan Newhouse also sent a statement after today's vote, saying in part, "The entirety of the debate around releasing the Epstein files has been centered around one thing, and that's transparency. While Jeffrey Epstein is dead, the fact remains that his victims were trafficked, their innocence exploited, and they deserve justice for the heinous crimes committed by this horrible man." Now, prior to the announcement of the Senate agreeing by unanimous consent to pass the bill, Senator Patty Murray did send a statement urging other senators to do just that, saying in part, "The victims of Jeffrey Epstein and the American people deserve answers, accountability, and the truth," end quote. With the Senate unanimously agreeing to pass the bill, once it arrives, the only thing it would need is the president's signature. Over the weekend, President Trump did change his stance on the release of the Epstein files, saying that if the bill crossed his desk, he would sign it. In the newsroom, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Christian, thank you. And coming up on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight, in about 3 minutes, KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley looks at how Spokane's West Hills neighborhood is bracing for change. She details the latest developments for a housing pilot project. And the Supreme Court will hear a case out of Idaho concerning the state's ban on transgender athletes competing in women's sports. That story coming up in just about 8 minutes. And here's our schedule tonight for KREM 2 Plus at 7 o'clock. KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley sits down with Spokane's mayor for an interview about her budget proposals. To watch that plus much more, just download KREM 2 Plus for free and watch on your TV.